Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Buki. I'm a food blogger and food influencer here in Lagos, Nigeria. If you're new to my channel, I post food recipes, food videos, hacks and tips, and lifestyle videos. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button now. Also hit the bell so that you're notified every time I post new content. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 15 kitchen essentials, tools and equipment that I think that every home cook should have. These tools and equipment are things that you should, if you're setting up your kitchen for the first time, these are the things that I feel like you should have that would help you, move quickly in the kitchen and just get things done. Mind you, this list is what I think is essential. Feel free to take away or add depending on what your needs and your family's needs are. So let me start with the first one. The first one is pots. I think good pots are so important. Everybody should have pots, otherwise what are you doing in the kitchen? Now, pots range from cast iron pots to stainless steel to non-stick to, there's so many different types of pots. As you can see, I have different sizes of pots and different they're made from different things also. This is my favorite one. It's a cast iron Dutch oven. I cook my jollof rice, make stews, make vegetable soups and all kinds of soups in this one. This is a smaller one. If I wanted to boil rice, this is the one that I would use. If I need to boil just yam for 1 or 2 people, I will use this one. So I think it's really important to have different sizes of pots. These are my sort of frying pans and I use them for different things. These I can use for eggs and these ones I can fry things like chicken nuggets and fish fillets for the kids in this one. This is a copper chef one. So this is one of those ones where you don't need oil or where you need just very little oil to do your cooking. This is another cast iron one. I make sauces and pasta in this one. And I just use it interchangeably with this one really. I feel like they do the same thing, but depending on what I'm cooking and how much I'm cooking, I just choose which one works. This one I like to call my pasta pot. It's just a regular non-stick pot and I've had it for a really long time. I like to cook pasta in this one. So if I'm making like a creamy pasta or something, I'll boil my pasta here and then drain. It's just easy for me to put the sieve over it when I need to drain, so that's what I use this for. This one is a little bit more fancy. Depending on what I'm doing, I use this one. It's not really for anything specific. Also because I'm a food content creator, I like to have really fancy stuff and really good looking stuff so that my followers are encouraged and inspired and want to get lovely things in their kitchen too. If you can, have one of each one, and if not, I think that you can start by maybe getting a cast iron, and of course there are different ranges from the very expensive to the not so expensive ones. Non-stick pots and skillets are also very important. You need your non-stick frying pan, for example, to fry eggs and to make small sauces. Number 2 is blender. I think every kitchen needs a blender. I have different kinds of blenders, but of course that's because of what I do. But if you're to get one blender that is good, get one with high speed. These are some of the high-speed blenders that I have. They're great for blending peppers, making purees, nut butters, whatever you want to make that requires you to add water, you can use in these types of blenders. A high-speed blender with maybe from 1000 watts, and above, that will make sure that when you're blending stuff, it gets really smooth. If you're Nigerian like me, when we blend peppers, we want it to be really, really smooth. So the type of blender you get is really crucial. Number 3 is a food processor and a chopper. These two are interchangeable in a way. So my food processor, I use it for rough blend peppers, I can blend nuts in it, I can blend fruits in it. However, the chopper are only, you can only do specific things in it. This is my food processor I've had for a really, really long time and it still serves me. Like I said, my nut butters or veggies or rough blend peppers in here. This is my chopper. It actually also doubles as a food processor also, and I can puree in here. I really like this one because it's just easy for me to get out and just use, especially if I'm not making anything in large quantities. It's just really easy to get out, use, and then wash and store back. So the type of chopper that I have, I can quickly make a fruit puree in it for the kids or maybe for me, and I can even do nut butters in it. But if you want something bigger, then I think you should consider having a food processor. You can make pesto, you can blend your rough peppers in that, you can make all kinds of different things in your food processor. Number 4 for me is chopping board or cutting boards. This is so important. Chopping boards help to also protect your counter from all those knife cuts when you cut different things. So you can cut your okra on your cutting board, you can cut peppers, you can cut onions, you can cut your garlic, you can cut your vegetables on your chopping board. I think it's really, really important to have 1 or 2 or however many you have. These are some of the different chopping boards that I have. They range in different sizes, and I use a different one for my fish and meats. I use a different one for vegetables, a different one for fruits, and I just have different ones for different things, just to make it simpler and to keep bacteria away. You need to have different ones for different things. And if you can't afford to have different ones, make sure that each time you use your chopping board, that you thoroughly clean it with lemon and salt and allow it to air dry, so that the chances of bacteria growing on it is greatly reduced. And make sure it's always really clean and it's thoroughly cleaned each time you use it. Number 5 for me is a garlic press. And you may not agree with me on this one, but I think a garlic press just makes things really, really easy. I cook with a lot of garlic, so I always have to mince, and I just find it really easy to use a garlic press every time. Once I put my garlic in, I mince it into the pot, and it's just boom, good to go. And then my fingers don't smell of garlic. Some people don't like the smell of garlic, so you can use that. Number 6 for me is measuring cups and measuring spoons, and even a scale. I think it's so important to have a digital scale in your kitchen, digital or the other one. It doesn't really matter, but have a scale. It helps with measuring stuff. If like me, you meal prep, then I think it's really important because you want to measure your ingredients and make sure that you're getting it right each time. I have different types of measuring cups, and for some of them they have 2/3 and 1/3, and they just help me. I can just reach for different ones depending on what I need to measure. So I have different measuring cups and different measuring spoons, and here is my scale. It helps me to just measure things accurately. I can measure liquids and I can measure solids on here as well. Number 7 on my list is the air fryer, and again, you may not agree with me, but I love my air fryer, and I cannot believe that I've gone through life without an air fryer for a really long time, and since I've had it, it's just been so useful. It can do 4 different things. It can air fry, it can reheat, it can also roast and dehydrate, and it's just useful for so many different things. I've made onion powder using my air fryer before. It's just one of my favorite things to have in my kitchen. I can reheat things I've roasted in the past in there if I don't want to use my oven, and it's just much quicker than using my oven. It's just on my kitchen counter. I can get to it quickly and reheat things. I make boli in my air fryer, for instance, roasted yam in my air fryer. I can even grill fish and all those types of things in my air fryer. But if you wanted to use your oven, it does pretty much the same thing, so you can skip that one if you don't want it. Number 8 on my list is a pressure cooker. This one you have to agree with me. Pressure cookers are really, really useful. If you're Nigerian and you cook beans and you cook shaki, you need a pressure cooker. It's going to cut your cooking time in more than half. Beans, for instance, takes 15 minutes in my own pressure cooker to get really, really soft and mushy beans, just the way I like it. I think it's one of those things you just really, really need, so you're not spending all of your time in the kitchen. If you can even get an instant pot, that's fantastic, because the instant pot does different things. I think mine has 8 functions. This is my pressure cooker. It's actually an instant pot, but it allows me to do so many different things. I can cook my beans in here, my meats in here. I can even make a meal from scratch in this one, which is why I really like the instant pot. I make stews and sauces, porridges, and all kinds of things in this one. I'm even trying to make yogurt in my instant pot. I found a recipe somewhere that I'm going to try. So if you wanted to get something that you can use for different functions, get an instant pot, and it'll double as a pressure cooker as well. Next is utensils. So I'm talking veggie peelers, your tongs, your spatula, your whisk, your wooden spoons. Things like that are very, very important. Maybe 1 of each, 2 of each if you can. Those are little things that you just need every time to help in your cooking, your tongs to flip things when you're roasting or when you're frying, your spatula to mix things, and your wooden spoons to make your soup, make rice and jollof rice, all those types of things. You need all of those things. Veggie peelers are so important. I think for carrots and potatoes, they're just super helpful. This is my utensil holder. So I have my wooden spoons here, I have my whisk, and I have a tongue here. You can have different types of tongues. This one I use for drinks, and then this one I use for frying. I have a bigger one, and this is a really small, cute one that I use sometimes. And these are just some of my spatulas. I use them for different things, depending on what I'm doing. I have the big ones and I have the small one. And the really important thing in this list is my veggie peeler. So it allows me to just really peel things really quickly. I think it's just one of those time-saving and convenient tools to have in the kitchen. I even use my veggie peeler for sweet potatoes because they're so tough to do with knife, and my veggie peeler just goes through it like quick, just like carrots. Another thing that you need to have is storage jars, storage containers, like those glass ones. When I meal prep, I usually have it in my glass jars and I put it in the fridge, and things last so much longer in glass jars. I think they're really important. Storage jars are so important. I store things like my spaghetti in this type. I have my cookie jar, and then I have this one that I use to keep food in the fridge. So if I have leftover rice or stew, I can store them in this one. This one is actually recycled. It used to be a pasta sauce jar, and I just took out the label. So you can do that if you need an emergency storage jar. I also have these bottles where I put my fresh juice when I make them. I have different shapes and different sizes, and then these ones I use for my smoothies and chia puddings and things like that. This one I can use to decant my pasta, for instance. In this one, my nuts, my seeds will go in this type. They're really airtight, and I think they're just good because they'll keep insects and things like that out. It's really helpful to have one or two or a couple, as many as you can afford, type of storage jars in your kitchen to help you keep your food safe. Number 11 on my list is knives. You need an assortment of knives. If you can, just get one or two good knives. Get a big one and get a small one. The big one for like when you're cutting yam and much harder things like that, meat and fish. And then the smaller ones for you to chop onions, vegetables and things like that. These are some of the different knives that I have. This is good for chopping bigger stuff like your meats and fish. And this is a serrated knife for breads and things like that. I have different ones that I like to use, and then different sizes. This is a much smaller one for chopping things like onions and ginger and smaller stuff like that. This is one of my favorite ones. It's a good size for me, and it's just really sharp and really handy to use. It also has a knife guard, which I really quite like. So different knives for different things, different sizes, very important to have in the kitchen. Next on my list is the knife sharpener. If you're having knives, you should have a knife sharpener too. At some point, your knife is going to get dull and you're going to need to sharpen it. So you need a knife sharpener. And if you don't or can't find a knife sharpener, I have a trick for you. You can use your mug to sharpen your knives. A knife sharpener is something you need to have if you're going to use knives, to keep your knives really sharp. And if you can't find or can't get one of this is an old hack that I learned. Get an old ceramic mug and you can just sharpen your knife on it this way. It's super useful and it's a good trick, and you can do this as often as you want to sharpen your knives. Number 13 on my list is bowls. You need so many bowls. Now bowls are really cheap and you can get different sizes, different colors, different widths, and whatever. Get bowls, get like loads of them, because that's where you do your washing, to wash your vegetables. You keep your fish in it, you keep your yams when you cut it. That's where you just put things before they go into the pot, I think, or at least that's what I use my own bowls for. These are some of the different bowls that I have. I have this set here, and I really like this one because you can pour out of it quite easily. So if I make coconut milk or something like that, it's easy for me to use this to pour into a bottle. You also need mixing bowls. If you bake a lot, you can use this for your flour and your mixtures and whatnot. And these are the ones for me that I use to rinse my vegetables, rinse my meats and fish in the sink, and they're plastic, lightweight, and they're just really cheap, and I have tons and tons of these ones. Next on my list is a grater. Different graters with different sides for different things depending on what you want to grate. This is a box grater, but sometimes I find that this hole is too big, so I have to use a different type. And if I was going to grate straight into the pot, I'll use one of these handy ones and just grate straight into my pot. So for ginger, garlic and stuff like that. And this rasp is especially good for nutmeg. So when when I'm making jollof rice, I use this to grate my nutmeg, and you can also use it for your cheese as well in your pasta dishes. This is a smaller size, so depending on how big the cheese or the nutmeg is, I can decide which one I want to use. I find that graters just make things easy for me, and you may not agree. You can use your knife if you want to, but I like having a grater. I can grate my coconut like really quickly, grate carrots really quickly, cabbage even with my grater, and I think it's just one of those things that everybody should have, but you can skip this one. Next on my list is a colander. Again, you may agree and you may not. Colanders and sieves. So I have different sizes, and I think you should too, depending on what you want to sieve. I use this for rice, for pasta, for vegetables. I especially like this one because it can just go over my sink. So if I need to rinse like lettuce or stuff like that, I can just put it over my sink and then do the rinsing here. I use my colander to drain my rice, to drain my pasta when I make pasta, and it's just really important. Or a sieve, you know, both of them. Have one or the other, and I think they're the same thing actually. So you need one, a sieve or a colander, to drain your pasta and your rice when you cook. So I hope that you found my kitchen essentials really essential and really useful. If you're setting up your kitchen for the first time, this is a good place to start, and then you can add as you go along, as you live at home and you find out what you need and what you don't need. Of course, feel free to take out the things that you don't need. I just think that this 15 is a good place to start for any home cook or for anyone that is setting up a kitchen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care and bye-bye.